Hey guys, what's up? I've made some allusions in the last several weeks to health problems I've been having, and the bottom line up front is that I've been a long term sufferer of migraines for about 25 years, and in the last 7 weeks, I've basically had a migraine every single day. The last 4 weeks, I've been out of work on short term disability, and a lot of days I'm kind of sick and nauseous, and I might be dizzy all day long. I might have head pain all day. It may not come on until afternoon. It may be severe, it may not be that bad. Abortive drugs may work, they may not. So, I haven't been publishing nearly as many videos, and this will probably go on for many more weeks, probably another month or two. I don't go back to see my neurologist again for, golly, like 3 more weeks, and I get another Botox treatment, and we've changed up some medications and see if they'll work. So, I just may not put out a video every day, but I haven't been for like a month now. So, thanks everybody for being patient and staying with me. And that's the bottom line up front, short explanation. If that's all you're interested in, go ahead and click away, find something else fun to do. Otherwise, I'm going to ramble on for probably about 20 minutes about migraines. So, I had my first migraine when I was 15, and through my teenage years, I probably had one or two a year. And then through my 20s, they accelerated to maybe, one or two, three a month. And through my 30s, they accelerated to much more common. And I say they kind of ramped up exponentially until some point about 5 years ago. I just hit this point where I was having migraines every single day. At that time, I went out on disability for a while, and my doctor started me on some treatments. I had previously been kind of dumb about it, and my GP and I thought we could treat it together without going to a specialist. That was really stupid. Like, don't waste time trying to do that. And then I started seeing a proper neurologist about 6 months before I went out on disability the first time 5 years ago. So, the understanding of migraines is actually really bad. And it seems likely that there are probably two or three conditions that all manifest with very similar symptoms, but there is no grand unified theory of what a migraine is, what causes it. And in fact, when researchers study things like what are the triggers that bring on particular patients' migraines, they're all over the place. I mean, some people can eat like a piece of chocolate, they'll get a migraine. Some people can eat too early in the day, they'll get a migraine. Some people can be exposed to a certain smell and they'll get a migraine. And it's just all over the place. I mean, the list of triggers that different people report is just ludicrously broad and long. It's just all kinds of unrelated things you would never expect. And similarly, the ways that individual migraine sufferers deal with their migraines is ludicrously broad and long. There are some people who carry around a small container of pepper because when they feel migraine coming on, they can huff the pepper, make themselves sneeze 5 or 6 times, and that makes the migraine go away. There are some people who, when they feel one coming on, they can have an orgasm, and it goes away. There are some people who feel it coming on, and they go outside, and they stand in the sunlight for a while, and it goes away. And there's just all these wild things that people will report as aborting the migraine. And I've never had any luck finding any particular trick like that. I use a number of abortive drugs. There's Nurtec and triptans and one called like Zicalib or something. I mean, they have to like just use random name generators for drugs, I guess, because they run out of namespace. But the abortive drugs for me, they kind of work sometimes. Sometimes they seem to do nothing, and sometimes, occasionally, they'll kind of knock a migraine out completely for the rest of the day. But I don't have great success with that, and like I said, I've never found really the magic bullet that just stops a migraine in its tracks for me. And so, when doctors start treating you for migraines, because we don't have a good theory of migraines, what they are, where they come from, how to stop them, our medical technology and our understanding of them and our treatment of them is kind of analogous to where most of our medical technology was in like the late 19th or early 20th century. Back then, in terms of general medical technology, yeah, we had germ theory, and we were starting to understand things like blood typing and stuff like that, and we kind of theorized we could probably do organ transplants. Now, it wouldn't be for another like 50 years. I think the first successful organ transplant was the mid-1950s or the early 60s. The first successful human transplant. And so, but with migraines, we're still stuck like way back there. And so what doctors will do is they'll say, well, look, we've got this list of drugs. Okay. And these are a bunch of drugs not developed for migraines. They're other powerful brain drugs that doctors kind of accidentally discovered also help migraines. And so it'll be things like Alzheimer's drugs, epilepsy drugs, antipsychotics, just all these very powerful brain medications. And in the course of developing them and testing them and using them for their intended use, they also found that people who had, say, epilepsy but also had migraines reported that their migraines got better. And then they would go off and study that and they would say, oh, yeah, let's try that for migraine patients. And so, they'll give you like amitriptyline. And I tried that for a while and it made me so drowsy it's like I could never wake up all day long. And then topiramate is another one that they'll give you. And these are daily drugs, preventative drugs. And topiramate made me so dizzy that like it was just dreadful, just so dizzy all the time. And then there's another one called memantine, and there's one called propranolol, which a lot of people have success with. I've had success with propranolol for many years, until recently. And so they'll try you on those, and basically they're kind of like your neurologist will be kind of like the Windows printer install wizard. It'll be like, did this work? Click yes, no, cancel. And you click no, and it's like, oh, here's another powerful brain drug. Did that work? And you see if you can live with the side effects of it, and it's like yes, no, cancel. So, they're kind of, I don't want to say they're clueless, but they don't have great tools for dealing with migraines. So they just kind of throw drugs at you and see, does it help the migraines, and can you live with the side effects? And so in 2020, we finally got our first FDA-approved drug specifically designed for migraines. It was called Ajovy. And basically what they did is the researchers were like, well, let's take some blood samples from long-term migraine sufferers, from migraine sufferers having a migraine right now. Let's take their blood right now while they have a migraine. And then let's take a control group of non-migraine sufferers, and we'll compare the blood samples, and we'll see if we can identify anything in the blood that stands out. And they did. They found some chemical, some compound in the blood amongst migraine sufferers that was statistically significant in its presence as compared to non-migraine sufferers. And then they said, now let's synthesize a medication that will sit in your body, not be metabolized, but when it combines with this chemical that we found in migraine sufferers' blood, it will bind with it and then it'll pass out through your lymphatic system. And so they designed a drug for that, which is pretty cool. And so you get shots of it, and you basically take a shot in the belly, and you can take 1 shot per month, or you can take 3 shots at a time every 3 months. And so I got onto that in 2020, and it's helped a lot. The big problem with it was that the FDA, when they approved it, approved you for something like 1 shot every 28 days. And I found over time that what I really needed was 1 shot about every 25 days. I basically ran out of the drug stored in my body. And so I needed it sooner than the FDA would allow the pharmacy to fill the prescription again. So I always had some days at the end of the month, or if I was doing it on the 3-month period, I would have, about a week at the end of the quarter when I would have migraines again. And then another one of the kind of treatment style drugs like that aren't daily, but they are preventative, is Botox. And so the cosmetic drug that like people get injected in their face to hide their wrinkles. So what they found was migraine sufferers found relief when they would go get Botox for cosmetic treatments. And it's not altogether surprising. Botox is essentially it's botulism, and it attacks the nerves. And so eventually neurologists came up with a routine of about 30 or 35 injection sites in your face, your head, around your ears, your neck, and your shoulders, and they'll inject you with Botox like that. The problem is your doctor has to do it because there's so many injection sites, and it has to be done about every 6 weeks, and Botox isn't cheap. I want to say it was about $1,500 every 6 weeks to get that. And so when Ajovy came on the market in 2020, I could do Ajovy injections, like my wife gives them to me at home. It's only every 3 months, and it's a much cheaper drug than Botox. So I used that for several years. But now, in the last basically 2 months, I've had a migraine essentially every day for the last 8 weeks. I've been out of work on short-term disability for the last 4 weeks, and I'm still dizzy, nauseous, head pain every day, sometime during the day. And so I'm trying to put out videos as I can, but, I've long ago gotten past the point where I feel that kind of YouTube creator guilt when I don't publish a video on schedule. Like I'm past that point. So, the plan right now is I keep doing a Jovi like I've been doing for the last 3 years. I got a Botox treatment, I don't know, 5, 6 weeks ago. I'm going to go get another one in a couple of weeks. And then I've changed up the daily preventative medication with my neurologist. And so just try and figure it out, see if it can get under control. It's kind of weird that all of a sudden what had been working for the previous 5 years just broke down so suddenly and just stopped working. That's a little discouraging. Genetically, I get it from both sides. My mom had migraines when she was in her 20s, but she aged out in her late 20s. My dad had something they called painless migraines, and that's essentially all of the other fun symptoms, but without the head pain. But again, he also aged out of it in his mid 20s or so. And so here I am, much older than that, and it seems they're getting worse, though my neurologist says that over time they should get better and eventually go away. But I don't know. This is a weird place to be in where suddenly all the drugs I'd been using for the last 5 years suddenly broke down and I was back to having migraines every day. So, as far as the side effects of migraines, those are another interesting topic because they vary as much as all of those triggers and tricks to overcome your migraines do with people. Generally, migraine symptoms overlap with stroke symptoms very well. And so while you're having a migraine, you'll have things like numbness on one side of your body. You'll have tingling and numbness in your hands and feet, in your arms, in your legs, the extremities in general. Sometimes you'll temporarily go blind. That's something that's only happened to me a couple times over all the years of migraines. One that's common for me is I'll stop being able to read. I can see the words on a page or on a monitor, but my brain cannot translate the words into thoughts. And so I just can't read. Auras are common, and what an aura is a visual anomaly that you see on top of your vision. And I'll put a link to what that looks like. There's some good animations on YouTube of what auras look like, but different people also report different types of auras. There are several standard types that broadly migraine sufferers report. And so sometimes you'll have troubles with speech. I'll typically have cognitive problems while I'm having a migraine, like I'll have trouble staying on task, trouble keeping my thoughts straight, trouble pronouncing things, trouble remembering words, all kinds of just regular cognitive issues like that while I'm having a migraine. So yeah, that's why I'm not working right now. It's why it's really hard to make videos every day. So, I don't need anything. I have a really good neurologist. I have really good health insurance. I have really good disability insurance. Drugs are great. I see these people complain, like I've known people in my life who are like, I don't think medication really does anything. And it's like, are you for real? Because like, if I didn't have propranolol and a Jovi, I would have been 100% incapacitated all the time 5 years ago, And right now it's bad, but it's not as bad as I would be with no medication. And then I also see people occasionally like try to make this like claim that, oh, America is the most medicated country in the world. And it's like, yeah, and it's fucking awesome. And it's like, man, when my neurologist and I decide we want to change something with my drugs, she literally turns 90 degrees, types it into her computer, it gets sent to my pharmacy, and that evening I can pick it up from the pharmacy and start taking the new drug. It's awesome. And so, again, without the drugs, I would have been 100% incapacitated long ago. So, like I said, I don't need anything. I appreciate all the kind words everybody's given me and all the nice thoughts. But I have really good doctors, and as I jokingly tell my dad every time he recommends acupuncture and hypnosis again, if alternative medicine worked, it would be called medicine. So, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, or if you're like me and you have the fun of migraines all the time, let me know. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade.